Hi, on this Excel on Mac video, I'm going to cover how to use the index match functions. Index and match are two different functions that can help you perform lookups. So let's say, for example, I have a table here that has three items, three different prices. I have folks, maybe these are sales folks that have sold these items, and this is the cost, and maybe we have another column maybe to do the total amount they sold, quantity times cost. But let's not do that. We're just gonna have to look up the cost of the item that they had. With the index function, if I type index, double click that, it's gonna look for an array. This is gonna be the list of items of where it's going to search from. So I want to search, I want to bring back the prices. So I want to search in that list of items. So I can select cells B1 to B4. I don't necessarily need to include B1, but I'm just going to do that for kind of consistency's sake throughout the other examples. The row number that I want to look up, so let's say I want to look up item 1. I'm going to say that's going to be in the second row, so that'll be number 2. And the column number, since it's only a one column selection that I've selected, I didn't select A1 to B4, there'll be two columns. So if it's only one column, so I'll just type one column. If I selected A1 to B4, that would be in the second column, so I'd put number 2 there. But since it's not, I have one column. Press enter, and you notice it comes back with that price. So my price is 250, which is this price. Oh, I forgot. It's also a good idea when we have our row selection here to make those absolute cell references. Basically, put a dollar sign in front of the letter in the word. You can use that. You can use the F4 key to do that, and press enter. That's because when we bring it down and copy it to other cells, that will stay consistent. It's not going to move to B2 to B5 and whatnot. So you think this might work where I'll just drag the fill handle here and copy it down, and it will give me the right selection. No, it doesn't, because it's looking at row 2, but it's still in column 1. And that's how the index function works. Let's delete this. Right? It's bringing you back, it's looking at the range that you selected, bringing you back the second row and then the first column. How can we make it where it's a little bit more dynamic? And that's where the match function comes into play. So instead of using the absolute row references, second row, first column, we can use a match function. So in this example, we want to look at the differences in the rows. There's going to be item 1 in row 1, or item 1 in row 2, item 2 in row 3, and item 3 in row 4. So we're going to have to put the match function there. So I'll type match, open parentheses. I want to match this value, item 1. We don't need to put dollar signs in our F2 to make it an absolute cell reference, because when we copy it down, we want that to change to F3, F4, F5, etc. So that's a lookup value. Right? We're looking at this value. We want to look at here and see what the corresponding row is and bring back that cost. So for that lookup value, where's the lookup array? Well, the lookup array is here. Oops. Let's start at A1 to A4, because our index starts as B1 to B4, right? So we want to correspond the rows, row 1, row 2, row 3, row 4. That needs to be an absolute value. So F4, that's our lookup array, and our match type is going to be either a true or false. True means we want an absolute match. This item 1 has to absolutely match item 1. And for corresponding true, there's also a corresponding false that you can put in there. False means an approximate match. We're going to do an absolute match. So I'll close parentheses there, press enter. Excel's being polite. It says that, oh, I need another parentheses because I've got a couple parentheses, that opening parentheses, that it has to match. Do I want to accept the correction? Yes. And I have my 2.5. Now I can just drag my fill handle down here to copy the formula, and you can see that it's done it correctly. It's looked up item 2, brought back $5, looked up item 3, brought back $8. So that's one way that we can use the index and match function if we want to match with our values that are different by rows. But what if our looked up value table is not separated by rows, and instead it's separated by columns, like in this example? It's separated out different columns. Well, all you need to do, instead of putting the match function where it's looking for rows, put the match function where it's looking for columns. So it's going to look like this. So I type equal index, double click that, my array. So in the previous example, we chose the headers and included it in our array. Let's say we didn't want to do that. We just wanted to include just the values that we want to look up to bring back. And this would be from B2 to D2, function F4, comma, and it's always going to be in the first row. So we'll type the number 1 there. And now this is where we put our match function. Match, open parentheses, and our looked up value is going to be this value, comma, what's the lookup array? So the lookup array is going to be this right here. So it's got to match that, right? B2 to D1, it's got to match B to D. And that also needs to be in an absolute value, F4. Match type is going to be true. Close parentheses, press enter, and we have 2.5, right? So now we only selected one row, B2 to D2, B2 to D2, so it's only like a one row table. And our match is multi-column, so it's going to be, we want to look up H2 from B1 to D1, right? B1, C1, D1, and it's true. We want to look up item 1. It has to be an exact match. So item 1 is in the first column, so it's going to bring back column 1. Drag the fill handle down here, and the values will correspond, right? So that's how it can work if your looked up table is based on columns instead of rows that we have here on example 1, right? But what if you have a lookup array that is also by column, mod A, mod B in this example, and rows? We have these 3 rows and these 2 columns. We want to look up a value and bring it back here. Well, then that's where you're going to have 2 match functions, one for the row and one for the column. And this is how we're going to do it. You put index, double click that to auto fit. Let's select this whole table, F4, to lock in that range so it doesn't get changed when you copy it over. So the row number we want to match for the items, item 1, 2, 3, right? So we're going to have match, open parentheses, the looked up value here, comma, let's select from A1 to A4 because that's what we do. We kind of want to be within that range. There's 4 rows here, A1 to 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. F4, that's our lookup array, and then true, close parentheses, and we're still in the row number because that's highlighted. So it's going to try to match item 1 with this particular set of rows, A1 to A4, and that's where we're going to get our match for the row. Now we want to find our match for the column, right? So now we're going to look to do a column match. So we're going to type match, open parentheses, match this value, comma, and we're going to select from A1 to C1 because we're looking from A to C here. And which column do we want to bring back? We need to put A1 to C1 in, make an absolute cell reference. That's F4 again, comma. We want to do a true, close parentheses, and that's going to be our column match. So it's going to try to look up mod A in A1 to C1. So mod A is going to be the second column, so it's going to bring back the second column. So in this example, it's going to look up in cell A1 to C4. It's going to match cell C2 to A1 to A5. It's going to bring back the second row, that's number 2, but it's also going to look up the match for the column. So it's going to look at mod A in cells A1 to C1, A1 to C1, and bring back the second column because mod A is in the second column. So when you think about it, look here, index here, bring back 2 and then 1. Row 2 and then column 1, which is 250. Press enter, and that's what it's doing. That's what the match function, those two match functions are doing now. Double click the fill handle to bring it down, and now we have our values there. So that's how we can use the match function if we have a table where we're looking up not only the rows, but the columns. So you can see the index function and the match function when used together is a pretty powerful lookup tool. So these are the three ways that you probably can see how it can be used. So I hope that helps. Thanks for watching.